Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon. All right, Ben, nothing on the bar. How about a magic trick?
Abracadabra. Bam, we've got 2XO, the Phoenix blend. All right, new bottle here today. We've got 2XO, the Phoenix blend. This one is the first iteration from Dixon Dedman of Kentucky Owl fame. I guess, I don't know if he's starting his own kind of company or
I know
just
almost nothing about it.
His own brand for sure, it seems.
Sure, yep.
And that's really all I know about it, to be honest. 104 proof. The 2XO means two times oaked. So this is a double oaked product.
Double oaked product.
Yeah, exactly. And it's his blending. He was a...
It's interesting that your first entry out the gate is a double oak.
Well, it's not his first rodeo, though. I mean, he's been in whiskey for quite some time.
Kentucky Owl's done a few things.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if his title was, master blender or what it was, but, So he's definitely got some experience. So let's get into this one here and see what happens. Really nice caramel note.
Brightness, almost in the apricot, kind of like almost citrusy vibes. But then there's also a lot of the traditional bourbon type stuff with the caramel and brown sugar.
I'm getting a light citrus off it. You know what's interesting? It's not as dark as you said. It's light, kind of bright.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that from a double oak, because double oaks tend to run pretty dark in the flavor profile, that extra barreling. Now, we don't know how long it was in the secondary barreling.
That is an unknown.
Or, I mean, I'm assuming it's, whenever they say double oak, it usually just refers to another new charred oak barrel. Right. Otherwise, they're going to specify, if it was a wine barrel or any other sort of...
I would think it's a new barrel. It's not finished.
But who knows? Maybe it was a new uncharred. I mean, once it's already aged and it's already a bourbon and you're finishing it, all bets are off, so...
Yeah. Color-wise, I mean, I'm kind of looking through it at lights. It's mediocre.
Yeah, it's standard bourbon color. I wouldn't look at this and guess double oak right off the bat.
No. So maybe double oaked, but not for super long, at least that initial charred oak barrel.
There's a really nice balance of sweetness and that brightness,
But there's a lot of, really rich aroma.
Let's get into the taste here and see what happens. Cheers.
Holy sweetness forward. In a good way, though.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet, isn't it?
Boy, it brought a lot of sweetness.
That caramel really comes through on the palate.
Yeah, it's got a nice, mellow caramel kind of note.
I'm not getting as much of the brown sugar. Like a lot of times, so caramel is usually a very bourbon, right down the middle.
Yeah.
All bourbons kind of have it, at least as a base for the sweetness. And then we usually, that stuff that's a little darker in flavor, get a good brown sugar note. Some vanilla, sometimes that light fruit like we're getting on this. I'm not getting any of that brown sugar.
I'm getting more like caramel and milk chocolate.
Yeah, it's definitely light flavors on the palate.
Maybe a tad citrusy, but very light. You know what? There's another channel, and I'm reluctant to mention this because it's kind of like a calling card of another bourbon channel.
Okay.
But I'm going to use it because it's appropriate in this case.
Okay.
Orange Tic Tac.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so.
So we're obviously, if you're watching our channel, we're talking about Bad Axe Bobby over at Bad Axe Bourbon. And if you don't, please go like, comment, and subscribe. Great channel. That's the first orange Tic Tac we've gotten on this channel. I'm not really getting that so much. I'm really leaning more towards that caramel is a little overbearing, kind of like butterscotchy. You know what I was saying? Like it's on the lighter side of those sweet notes, kind of like a butterscotch, butterscotch ice cream topping.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but then it's interesting because there's this overall caramel flavor profile. Then there's a bunch of little tiny flavors that seem like they don't go with it, but they worked really well together. I mentioned the citrus, kind of orangey kind of note. There's a tiny, tiny hint of like mint, but it's real subtle.
Really?
It's like a coolness on your tongue, even though it's 104 proof, and you notice the proof.
I'm with you on that, actually. Yeah. Not a mint flavor, but almost like it
like
gives you the mouthfeel.
Yeah.
What I am finding on this is for a 100 proof or 104 proof double oak bourbon, it's very light up front, and then all the flavor seems to be kind of on the back end of it. Like I'm not getting that proof punch like right off the bat. You know, it almost just seems really thin at first, but then this nice burst of flavor.
So I get a ton of flavor at the front end, but it like builds and turns more well aged, and the wood tannins are at the back end, and that's like the lasting note.
It's kind of weird to me. I don't know how to describe the proof experience I'm having, because it's like it just seems like nothing, and then bam, there's something, and mostly it's on the back end, and it's kind of like I don't know. It's weird. It's a really good bourbon, to be honest.
Yes.
Haven't talked about the price point on this one. It is $100.
It is $100.
Now, for $100, you can get a lot of really good bourbons. For $50, you can get a lot of really great bourbons.
That is true.
So I think the $100 is maybe just the experimental level of this.
It's a small distillery, maybe doing some distillery / blending.
Yeah, interesting blend.
Stuff. Yep.
And it is making for an interesting drinking experience.
I totally agree.
Just based on flavor alone, I'm not sure I would go 100 for it, but it is definitely really good. You know, it feels like it's like the EQ is a little flat, and then it kind of spikes, and then it just kind of, you know.
I really, really like it. I actually really like it. If you want me to repeat the sound clip that I do all the time, but it is a tad unique. Like it is very sweet forward. So I think this would actually be a good bourbon for some people who maybe aren't bourbon people to try.
Yeah.
The proof is very mellow, like it's not a sledgehammer to the face.
Sure.
It's expensive, and obviously there's a bunch of like very well-known bourbons that kill this in every regard. But
it's still really good. I think
we're bourbon geeks, and we have a bourbon channel, and so it's totally appropriate.
But I think bourbon geeks would like this flavor profile wise.
Yes.
So I was in Spirits Liquor recently
In Melrose, Minnesota.
in Melrose, Minnesota. Go say hi to Alyssa. And there was a guy in there that she was helping that came in and said he was looking to buy a gift bourbon for his son. He wanted to spend around $100 because he wanted to get a nicer
I hope his son was
bourbon.
4 years old. I hope
No, I'm assuming not. And so, but his son was a bourbon drinker.
Okay.
In that category, if that's what you're looking to spend and you want to get something that's a little more unique that you may not have, this would have been a great option for that.
Yeah.
And I would have recommended it had I already tried it, but I hadn't at that point, so I stayed out of it. But anyways, I mean that would be a great, use for this. But it's really good. I don't think you're going to have a hard time drinking your way through this. I mean, it's a perfectly good bourbon. It's just the price is a little expensive, but it's also in limited supply, and it's a new venture. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Overall, though, I think it's a pretty dang good bourbon.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
All right, well, this has been 2XO, the Phoenix Blend on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Until next time. See you next time.